Quick video to reflect a few thoughts I had based on a recent post. I realized my bed's not made, don't really care, just kind of rolled out of it, and here I am. Um, but I did a post last night, kind of in jest, just because I have fun with some of my social media stuff. And it was regarding, it was sort of a stab at alternative medicines. What it was a picture of a doctor talking to a young girl, and there was an inhaler in the picture, and it said something to the effect of, if turmeric could cure asthma, we would isolate the ingredients, the active ingredients, determine proper dosage, and then it would be in this inhaler instead of albuterol. And I thought it was funny, because it reflected some of my opinions regarding, mainstream medicine versus alternative medicine, and I say that very broadly. But I just thought it was worth sharing. Well, understandably, some people kind of, just were amused by it, and others took it seriously and fell on one side of the issue or the other. And I think lots of times when I make a post, if I don't give it a whole lot of context, people are going to make assumptions about what I'm trying to say with it. And so I wanted to comment on that. Generally speaking, I am a fan of mainstream or Western medicine, what have you. And when I say that, what I mean is this. I've found, based on my own reading of research, my own understanding of anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, which admittedly is limited, but from what I do understand about the relevant subjects, I find that, there's a reason that most, I can't say all, but there's a reason that most medical procedures that are approved and covered by insurance, in America, are used. There's a reason most of these medications are used. With that said, I'm not trying to give a pass to people who abuse these treatments, abuse medications, people who overprescribe. I acknowledge there's a financial incentive in many cases for doctors to prescribe more than they should. There are liability issues I've heard repeated many, many times where doctors say, I have to prescribe you something before you leave this office or I could be in trouble. And that's a problem. Is there value to a more holistic approach to medicine than some medical professionals take? Absolutely. And when I say holistic, I mean, not just looking at a symptom, but trying to determine causes. With that said, I'm not trying to say that medical professionals don't do that. Many of the doctors I know do in fact look at as many aspects of a person's health and well-being as possible. They don't just try to treat symptoms. That's a misconception that is true in some cases, but in many cases is not. So there's a lot of mythology, there's a lot of misrepresentation falling on both sides of the aisle here. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Do I think it's smack in the middle? No. I do fall more on the side of Western medicine and kind of what are considered more conventional medicines than alternative stuff, because I do believe, largely speaking, overall, most of the things that are claimed by the alternative camp to be effective would have more evidence to support their effectiveness if they in fact were. Are there things that slip through the cracks? Absolutely. We're going to continue to find herbal treatments and solutions, out in nature and whatnot that do a lot of good. There are some that are reported to have validity now, or to have efficacy, I should say, that haven't been established yet because they haven't been studied enough. Do I think more studying needs to be done on a lot of these? Absolutely. But I just wanted to kind of clarify where I fall on this issue. Because, inevitably, whenever you make a post about medicine or vaccines or medications specifically, pharmacology, pharmacological agents, you're going to get people who really love them, and you're going to get people coming out of the woodwork as well who don't really like them or perhaps hate them, And then what you have is a risk of hyperbole being used and misrepresentation occurring. So I don't want that to happen. You get, inevitably, if the conversation goes on long enough, you're going to hear something about big pharma, right, and big quotation marks and neon letters. And I feel that does a disservice to the discussion, and there are other examples, but I'll stick with the pharma thing. Making claims about how big pharma is evil, I think ignores the fact that the pharmaceutical industry is massive and has a number of different levels or tiers to it, and all kinds of different people working in it. You get people that work in sales, you get people that work in the legal department, the legal side of things, you get people that work in patents relating to the legal side. You get people that do the primary research, you get people that manage ethics for setting up the studies. There are a variety of individuals that work in this field. And to say that Big Pharma is this one monolithic thing that has a single agenda is just ignorant. There are absolutely people that work on the money side of things and are concerned primarily with making money. And that's really, as long as they can operate a business, so to speak, and make their cash, they're happy. But by the same token, I personally know a number of people who currently work in the pharmaceutical industry and people who have worked in the past in the industry who don't really care about the money. They're in it because they honestly feel they're helping people. So it does a disservice to those people, to all the ones who are honest and all the ones who are trying to do good work and are doing good work, to say that the pharmaceutical industry is just a big sham or it's just about money. It's a much more nuanced issue than that, as is usually the case. So I wanted to put that out there. Okay. We can have a conversation about a lot of these things, but we have to refrain. We have to resist the urge to use over-the-top language when we're discussing these things. So, that's it, really. I just wanted to kind of address that. I have other thoughts I might put into some text later. I don't know. But that's a big one, is, we gotta, let's try to stray from these extremes where we're just shouting insults and platitudes and oversimplifying the issue, and really try to bring it down to something that get to some place in the middle where we can all meet and actually have a conversation about this stuff, and then figure out what's really true and what's not. Mainstream medicine does miss some things, does need to improve. It's always trying to improve. I don't think anybody's really trying to say that it's not. But at the same time, there are some merits to, I'm not going to say alternative medicine at large, but there are merits to continuing to examine, if you can study these things properly, treatments out there that may not yet be accepted. I mean, if they work, they'll be shown to work. The evidence will eventually mount, or it won't. So there you have it. That's my opinion on that. I'm going to shut up now. So comment if you like.